Hello and welcome once more to the Bench Report, where we discuss recent debates from the benches of the UK Parliament. A new topic every episode. You're listening to Amy and Ivan.
Today, we've been looking at a really focused discussion about the future of grassroots cricket clubs. Their survival, really.
And this wasn't just a conversation about sport, was it? It felt much bigger. It was about community, social cohesion, and maybe the future of a national pastime.
It was. So our job today is to unpack the current state of amateur cricket. There's this fantastic story of growth on one side.
But then you have these deep-seated vulnerabilities. We're talking about everything from equity gaps to crumbling facilities and, of course, funding.
Exactly. And to start, the sheer scale of the amateur game might surprise you. This isn't a small niche activity. Last year, 2.5 million people played.
2.5 million. That's a huge base of people.
It is. And what really shows the level of organization is the number of matches. Across England and Wales, they recorded 216,000 fixtures.
That's the first time it's ever gone over 200,000 in a year.
That's right. So, the system is running hot. Yeah. But that immediately makes you ask about the pressure on the pitches on the volunteers.
And that's the perfect place to start, the foundation. These clubs are often described as the beating heart of our communities.
Which can sound like a cliche, but the evidence really backs it up. They are social hubs first and sports clubs second.
A real force for good. There was a great example of the Welwyn Garden City Cricket Club.
A powerful story. They organized a tournament and raised £10,000 for brain tumor charities. That was because the club captain's brother had been diagnosed.
So the club becomes this vehicle for the community to respond to a crisis together.
It's infrastructure, in the truest sense. And beyond that, there's the personal development aspect.
All those lessons you learn on the pitch. Teamwork, resilience.
Especially resilience in cricket. You fail so often as a batsman. Learning to cope with that, to stay motivated, that builds character for later life.
And if we zoom out from the personal to the national level, the return on this is enormous.
It's staggering. The calculated social value of all sport and physical activity comes to 123 billion a year.
123 billion.
So when you talk about supporting a local club, it's not a handout. It's a serious national investment that pays dividends in public health and social services.
It changes the whole conversation. And that value comes from social cohesion, from integration.
Absolutely. They function as community melting pots. Think about the Thames Ditton Cricket Club, which welcomed Afghan refugees into its youth teams.
That's where those lasting connections are made, isn't it? Bridging gaps that other institutions sometimes can't.
And it's not just an English story. It was stressed how deeply cricket is embedded in Northern Ireland's towns and villages, creating spaces that bridge divides.
So we have this incredible foundation of social value, high participation, which leads us to the next point, the areas of real growth and inclusion.
Yes, and this is where the game is changing and changing fast. For the better.
The growth is just inspiring. We saw record numbers of kids signing up for youth programs, over 105,000, and a huge proportion of them were girls.
It's a genuine surge. The numbers for 2025 showed women's teams were up 18%, and girls' teams up 13% on the previous year. You can see the demand is there.
And it goes beyond gender. There were specific programs mentioned, like Super Ones for disability cricket.
And even table cricket for young disabled people in schools in Cumbria. It shows a real conscious effort to open the sport up.
Which is fantastic, but then you pull back the curtain and the debate shifts to the serious structural problems, the Independent Commission for Equity in Cricket.
The ICEC report.
Mm-hmm.
This is the uncomfortable part that sits alongside the good news. It exposed fundamental issues of elitism and cost.
And the key disparity is just stark, isn't it?
It's visceral.
Yeah.
A child in an independent school is 8 times more likely to have a proper grass pitch and 10 times more likely to have a qualified coach.
10 times. That's not a level playing field. It's a different sport altogether.
It's a systematically unequal talent pathway. And you see the result in the representation.
That data point on racial diversity was shocking.
30% of recreational cricket is played by South Asian children. 30%. Yet, at the professional level, it's just 3%.
That gap is a damning statistic. It shows the system is filtering out talent somewhere along the line.
Either through cost, lack of access, or something else. And of course, you can't talk about this without mentioning the Azim Rafiq case, which triggered the report.
And the debate suggested real disappointment that the recommendations from that report have been slow to be implemented.
That's the feeling. The sport knows the problem, but fixing it seems to be lagging. especially on two fronts: reducing financial barriers in the talent pathways and increasing board diversity,
Change at the top, moving at a snail's pace.
while the enthusiasm at the bottom is booming.
Let's move from the social structure to the physical one. This is where you really see the fragility of it all, the facilities.
A cricket pitch isn't just a bit of grass, it's a highly specialized, bespoke thing.
It doesn't really lend itself to multi-purpose use like a football pitch.
Not at all. And that means protecting them in local planning is absolutely critical, but they're often the first to go when a developer comes knocking.
And they're so vulnerable to other factors like the climate. The case of Grimsby Town Cricket Club was just brutal.
It really was. Imagine a small volunteer-run club flooded 3 times in a single year, 2025, and then having to fight a huge company like Anglian Water just to get answers.
They were described as being left stumped, literally fighting for survival.
And that fight is made harder by the age of the buildings. There was a statistic that, well, it stopped me in my tracks.
The average age of a cricket pavilion in England and Wales
Is more than 70 years old.
70.
Just think what that means for maintenance, for insurance costs, but also for modern standards, for disabled access, for changing facilities for women and girls. It's a huge unfunded liability.
Which leads us squarely into the political part of this, the funding debate. And there was a pretty major political reversal here.
A huge one. The former government had promised £35 million for 16 new cricket domes. A massive investment.
Designed to reach almost 1 million young people.
But the current government reversed that pledge. They called the figure Fantasyland, arguing it was never properly costed.
So what's the reality now if that 35 million is off the table?
The counter-argument was that they've put forward a smaller but more realistic commitment of $1.5 million.
Which is a fraction of the original promise.
It is. It's for 2 new domes, one in Preston and one in Luton, alongside the existing Sport England funding. But it's a world away from the original scale.
With that kind of reduction in direct funding, it puts even more pressure on protecting the facilities we already have, which brings up that huge controversy around Sport England.
This is probably the single biggest threat facing grassroots facilities. Since 1997, Sport England has acted as a statutory consultee in planning.
Meaning they have to be asked for their opinion if a development affects a sports pitch.
Yes, and before that role existed, we were losing pitches left, right, and center. 10,000 were sold off. After 1997, that number dropped to fewer than 600. It shows how vital that central protection is.
So what's the proposed change?
The proposal is to remove that statutory role, to take it away.
Which would mean what?
It would mean an already overstretched local council planner, who likely has no sports expertise, could approve turning a cricket pitch into a supermarket car park without any mandatory oversight.
It feels like it would open the floodgates again.
It's a huge risk, especially when local authorities are so short of cash.
Okay, so let's try and look forward. Despite all these challenges, there are clear ideas on the table. The domes, for instance, even if the funding is smaller now, seem key.
They're seen as vital for year-round play. The example of Darwin Club was great. Their new indoor facility let them build partnerships with 13 local schools.
It weatherproofs the game. It means the enthusiasm from summer doesn't just die off over a long, wet winter.
Exactly. And to generate that initial enthusiasm, you need those big moments, the major tournaments.
The T20 Women's World Cup in 2026.
It's seen as a massive catalyst, a moment to inspire a new generation, especially girls. We know that watching live elite sport is the biggest driver of participation.
We talked earlier about that huge disparity between state and private schools. What were the practical ideas to bridge that gap?
The main one was resource sharing. A strong call for ministers to encourage or maybe even mandate private schools to open up their amazing facilities.
Their pitches, their indoor nets.
All of it, to share them with local state schools and the wider community. And there's a model for this. The relationship between King Edward's School in Birmingham and Warwickshire Cricket has been working for decades.
So putting it all together, what is the government's actual commitment now?
Well, beyond the 2 domes, there's a new teacher training program. The idea is to train 1,000 teachers by 2030 to deliver high-quality cricket coaching within the state system.
Trying to close that coaching gap.
And most critically, that consultation on Sport England's role in planning is now live. Its outcome will decide the fate of pitches across the country.
That consultation really does feel pivotal. So for you listening, what does this all mean? You step back And you see a sport with incredible social value, but it's built on this fragile, aging, volunteer-led base.
The ultimate question becomes one of national priority. It was pointed out that cricket, despite hosting World Cups in 2026 and 2030, is the only major sport that gets no direct government funding for tournament legacy.
None at all.
So, given everything we've discussed, the value, the fragility, should the government treat these events not just as sport, but as national infrastructure projects? Should they guarantee legacy funding to fix those 70-year-old pavilions and properly level the playing field for the next generation? That's the big question left hanging.
A lot to think about there. The game trying to balance its long history with these very modern demands for equity and for, well, simple resilience.
Absolutely. The passion is there, the foundation is there, but the investment to secure it for everyone is, it seems, still up for debate.
As always, find us on social media at Bench Report UK. Get in touch with any topic important to you. Remember, politics is everyone's business. Take care.
Hello there, this is Tom, the producer of The Bench Report. Listener suggestions are vital to my mission of making politics more accessible and accountable. So, if you have an issue that's really important to you, personally or professionally, and want to know what those in power are doing about it, please get in touch via email or via our socials at Bench Report UK. I'll grab another coffee and start scanning those parliamentary archives.